The traditional rose tattoo used to do something most modern tattoos avoid. It named someone, not symbolically, not metaphorically, directly. And that difference changes everything. Because a tattoo that names someone can't hide. A tattoo that doesn't can mean anything or nothing. Today, the rose is treated as one of the safest choices in tattooing. It's everywhere. Clean, balanced, visually reliable. People describe it the same way every time. Love. Beauty, timeless. It's considered meaningful without needing explanation. That's exactly why it works. It carries the feeling of meaning without requiring anything specific. But the rose didn't become popular because it was vague. It became popular because it was specific. Early American traditional roses weren't floating symbols. They were almost always anchored, most often with a banner and most often with a name. Not an idea of love. A person. That detail is usually treated as decoration. It's not. It's the entire point. Because the moment you add a name, the tattoo stops being symbolic and becomes accountable. It ties the image to a real relationship at a real moment, with no way to reinterpret it later. You can regret it. You can outgrow it. But you can't pretend it meant something else. Look at how the design has changed, not stylistically, but structurally. The classic composition forced commitment. A rose wrapped in a banner doesn't leave much room for ambiguity. The banner isn't just framing the image. It's fixing it in place. It answers the question before anyone asks it. Who is this for? And once that answer is on your skin, it becomes part of your identity whether it ages well or not. That's the risk. That's also the point. Now compare that to how roses are used today. The banner is gone. The name is gone. What's left is the flower. Isolated, clean, self-contained. It still looks meaningful. But it no longer commits to anything. You can attach a story to it if you want. You can also change that story later. Or never explain it at all. The design hasn't just been simplified. It's been freed from responsibility. This shift didn't happen because people stopped caring about meaning. It happened because meaning became unstable. In earlier tattoo culture, identity was often tied to fixed roles and relationships. You left home. You belonged somewhere. You had people you were connected to in ways that didn't change quickly. A tattoo could reflect that. Now identity moves. Relationships change faster. Life paths are less predictable. The idea of permanently attaching yourself to a specific person, publicly, on your body, feels risky in a different way. Not physically, socially, emotionally. So the tattoo adapts, not by losing meaning, but by becoming flexible enough to survive change. You can see this in how people talk about their tattoos now. Ask someone about a rose tattoo today, and the answer is usually open-ended. It just felt right. It represents a lot of things. It's personal. Those answers aren't empty. They're intentionally unspecific. They protect the wearer from being pinned down. The tattoo still signals depth, but it avoids declaring anything that could become untrue. There's also a shift in how tattoos function visually. Traditional tattoos were meant to be read. Not just seen, read. They communicated something concrete to anyone who understood the language. A name in a banner is legible information. A rose alone is not. Modern tattoos are less about being read and more about being perceived. They create an impression, a mood, a sense of intention, but they rarely demand interpretation. They're designed to work in a glance, in a mirror, in a photo, in passing. That changes what the image needs to do. It no longer has to say something clearly. It just has to feel like it could. So the rose didn't become timeless because its meaning stayed the same. It became timeless because its function changed. It used to lock meaning in place. Now it holds meaning at a distance. That shift reflects something broader about how people relate to identity. There's a tension between permanence and uncertainty. People still want tattoos to feel significant, but they don't want to be trapped by that significance. So they choose imagery that appears intentional without being restrictive. The rose is perfect for that. It carries cultural weight. It signals sensitivity, depth, taste. But it doesn't force a specific narrative. It lets the wearer perform meaning without fully committing to one. This is where the contradiction becomes clear. Tattoos are still permanent, but the identities they represent are not. So instead of making tattoos less permanent, people make them less specific. They reduce the risk not by changing the medium, but by changing the message. And over time, that changes the visual language itself. What looks like a classic design is actually a different kind of decision. Less about declaring something, more about leaving room. The old-school rose wasn't powerful because it symbolized love. It was powerful because it made love visible and irreversible. It exposed something real. What we have now looks similar, but it behaves differently. The modern rose doesn't reveal, it conceals. Not by hiding meaning entirely, but by keeping it just out of reach. And that's why it survives. Not because it means the same thing it always did, but because it no longer has to.